Good morning, everybody. It's John from Veganism KILLS. It's 6:19 a.m., Thursday, December 10th. Today we're going to read a study published in the National Library of Medicine. This is the abstract of the study because we don't have time to read umpteen pages. So the abstract is sort of a summary. And the summary is based off of oxalate poisoning. It does exist. And vegans are promoting people to get oxalate poisoning. And if you look at all the symptoms that these vegans are having after their long-term ingestion of oxalate, high leafy greens, fruits, and other vegetables, and you could see in their face the damage they wrought upon themselves. You could see that there was a study linking oxalates to breast cancer, and vegans are running around telling everybody they can't get breast cancer or any form of cancer because vegans just don't get cancer, which is a lie. They get cancer at the same rate as everybody else. And some of these YouTubers, prominent YouTubers, like Mari, I think her last name is Martinez, from Marion Lewis, she should have never gotten breast cancer. She did. Then she tried to cure herself with the very poisons that gave her the cancer in the first place. And she's gone from this world. Now we're going to go through this article, and I'm going to try to explain this and break it down in layman terms for everybody out there, because it just might help them to make an informed decision rather than an emotional decision. And as we've seen, emotional decisions usually don't turn out too good for a lot of people. To have a blind belief in somebody is based on emotion. It has nothing to do with logic. And I'm hoping this snaps some of these vegans out of the road to their own demise and gets them back on the normal path. Take care of yourself. Don't let other people tell you how to take care of yourself. It's part of being an adult. You could read this and judge for yourself and say, no, maybe I don't want to do that because the risks look too high. Now let's go to the article. Actually, the abstract to a study from the National Library of Medicine. Published, peer-reviewed, to be in the National Library of Medicine. Now this is about exposure to oxalate, which has been known since 1850. Over 150 years, we know that oxalate poisoning does in fact exist. And no matter how much you scream and jump up and down, vegans, it does exist. That's it. Nobody's listening to you. All you're doing is creating a clown show. You might want to read this because it might stop you from being put in the hospital bed in the hospice at a young age until you die. And stop dragging other people with you. That's not right either. Too many children have died from veganism because of these reasons right here. It's not a healthy diet. And if anybody's telling you this, read this first and then ask them why they don't acknowledge this. And then ask them the second question, why are you asking me for money? Those two questions you got to ask them before you get involved in anything. It's common sense. Now, exposure to oxalate, a constituent of the most common form of kidney stones. So here you are eating the most high oxalate diet known to man, vegan, and it's the most common form of kidney stones. Red flag. Generates toxic responses in renal epithelial cells. Liver, kidneys. All right? Includes altered membrane surface properties and cellular lipids, changes in gene expression. Changes in gene expression. Do you know what that means? It's altering your DNA. And it might not be altering it for the better. How do we find that out? disruption of mitochondrial function. Now, your mitochondria, that's in each and every one cells of your body, including your brain cells. Okay? Every cell in your body, your muscle cell, has a mitochondria. Your mitochondria is the symbiotic relationship of your cell and your mitochondria, which you get passed down through your mother's DNA, is actually the engine that helps run each and every cell. So now you're disrupting it with oxalates. Formation of active oxygen species and decreased cell viability. So what do they mean by decreased cell viability and a formation of reactive oxygen species? That means your cells aren't going to reproduce as fast. So if you get sick, whatever damage is done to you, it's going to take longer to recover from. And it also starts what they call the crossover of oxygen and CO2 across the cell membrane, because each one of your cells has to have oxygen and expel CO2. Oxalates disrupt that function. Okay, that's explaining what's there so far. Now we're over here. Oxalate exposure activates phosphophylipase A2, PLA2, which increases two lipid-singing molecules, arachidonic acid and lysol. We'll just call it PLA2. Inhibition blocks where exogenous lysol PC or arachidonic acid reproduce many of the effects of oxalate on mitochondrial function. So they're telling you once these oxalates activate these two molecules, that's the one that fucks up your mitochondrial function. So they know this. This is a fact. They did the experiment. That's what they're telling you is messing with your mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are the little engines of your cells. And they're showing you that's what damages your genes, and that's what's damaging your cell viability. Suggesting that PLL2 activation plays a role in mediating oxalate toxicity. So, in other words, when your body senses these oxalates are in your body, it's going to throw out these two, lysol PC and anachronic acid, and those in turn are going to damage your body in those specific areas mentioned. So they know how it works. Oxalate exposure also elicits potential adaptive or protective changes that increase expression of proteins that may prevent crystal formation. So now you're going to get these proteins that I do believe they come from the liver, and they're going to try to prevent crystal formation or attachment. So now you're stressing out your renal system, your liver directly. Additional adaptive responses may facilitate removal and replacement of dead, damaged cells. Now, the body's getting a signal now, and it has to pick up the removal and replacement of dead or damaged cells, because the oxalates are damaging themselves. So now your body's underneath additional stress. So if your body is replacing, it's in a stressed out mode, and it's replacing these damaged or dead cells, what energy does it have to maintain the body, the bone structure, the muscles, the brain? And that's why you see vegans start to lose weight. They'll start losing weight, and when they first start, they think it's great, but it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. Basically, you empty the form of consumption. The presence of different inflammatory cells and molecules in the kidneys of rats with hyperoxaluria and in Stowe patients suggests that inflammatory responses play roles in stone disease. So what they're saying, the presence of these oxalates and these two molecules, these two lipid molecules, trigger the production of kidney stones and hyperoxaluria. The presence of different inflammatory cells and molecules in the kidneys. Those are the molecules they're talking about. So here you go. You got the molecules coming in from the high oxalate diet actually triggered by your own body to produce this. And in turn, those two molecules are wreaking havoc on your body, your whole body as a whole. Renal epithelial cells can synthesize a variety of chitokines, chemoattractants, and other molecules with the potential to interfere with inflammatory cells. Moreover, oxalate exposure increases the synthesis of these molecules. So once you get these molecules in your body, they're not the world's best molecules to have running around in it. The present studies demonstrate that oxalate exposure upregulates cycloogenase 2, which catalyzes the rate-limiting step in the synthesis of prostanoids, compounds derived from arachidonic acid that can modify crystal binding and may also influence inflammation. In addition, renal cells oxalate exposure promotes rapid degradation of I-kappa alpha, an endogenous inhibitor of the NF-kappa B transcriptor factor. Now that one I'm a little lost. I have to read up. A similar response is observed following renal cell exposure to LPS, a bacterial cell wall component that activates toll-like receptor for TL4. While TLRs are primarily associated with immune cells, they can also be found on many other cell types, including renal epithelials, suggesting that TLR signaling could be direct impact renal function. So what's happening is the oxalates are causing an autoimmune response, and that's what brings about the inflammation. So they're telling you how it works. Now I understood it until I didn't understand it until I got to the end. So you have to read the whole thing. So the oxalates are causing inflammation response, and that directly impacts renal function. See how it's messing with your liver and kidneys? It's wrecking it. The prior exposure of renal epithelial cells to oxalate into vitro produces endotoxin tolerance, a loss of responsiveness to LPS. That's not good at all. So what happens is that this is bad, people. The oxalates actually cause the responsive LPS, which is the one that triggers your autoimmune system. It shuts it down. That means you're open to any kind of sickness. Or if anything enters your body, like some foreign virus or something, you're not going to get an autoimmune response. Can you at least understand that's very deadly? And conversely, prior exposure to LPS elicits a simple heterologous desensitization to oxalate. So what happens is your body, in order to cope with the oxalates, basically turns off the autoimmune response. So oxalates turn off your autoimmune response. It's saying it right here. By impairing protective responses. So I can read this and understand this. I think if I can do it, anybody else can read this. This is science. This isn't me making up stuff. This is me just translating an article and showing and helping people understand what's going on here. Oxalates are going to put your body into a state of decline and turn off your autoimmune system. Why are they promoting this diet? I honestly think they're trying to kill you or end you somehow. So if you eat a vegan diet, the oxalates are going to trigger your cell membranes to stop responding to any foreign threat in the body because the oxalates are overwhelmed it. So it develops a higher threshold by impairing the protective responses. It says it right there. Why would you want to go on this diet in the first place, number one? Maybe to lose some weight, but this isn't a long-term diet. No way, no hell. This isn't a lifestyle. This is a death style. The vegan lifestyle. No, it's the vegan death style. You're choosing your own demise here. Knowing this, how could you sit there and promote veganism and push this on hundreds of thousands of people and have some of those people think they're helping their children's health and it actually kills them and still blindly follow it? Still. So what they're telling you right here is you ingest oxalates. Your body develops a tolerance for it. And in response to that tolerance, it turns off your autoimmune system. And you're doing that during the time of COVID-19. This is sad, people. This is sad. These vegan quacks that are out there, they should be sued knowing all of this, and yet YouTube lets them stay up there, do whatever they want, say whatever they want, make up science, pseudoscience, cherry pick all kinds of crap. Dr. Greger would probably take this study. What would Dr. Greger pick out of this study? What can he pick out? What can he say that is going to deny this study? What benefit is there coming from eating all these oxalates? There are nothing. It's detrimental to your health. The vegan diet is detrimental to your health. It's not the vegan lifestyle, it's the vegan death style. They pick their own poison. Alright, I'm out of here. This is a crying shame. See you all later. Just read the article. Whether you like me or not, read it. Read it for yourself. Please, educate yourself. Stop following other people's emotions. Oh, they're so happy. They're not happy. When that camera goes off, this is what's happening to them.